Welcome to the Doubles Only Tennis Podcast, where you learn the best doubles strategies to improve your game and win more matches. I'm your host, Will Bocek. This podcast, my website, and my weekly newsletter all focus on the goal of better understanding the sport of doubles and helping players like you improve faster through actionable advice that you can use in your very next match. My goal is to provide the best doubles strategy resources in the world. And to do that, I study, analyze, and work with players at every level of the game, all the way up to the ATP and WTA tours. If you enjoy this podcast, I've created doubles strategy products that go even deeper if you want to take your doubles knowledge to the next level. At the end of this episode, I'll explain more about them, or if you want to learn more now, go to thetennistribe.com/products. Here's today's episode. You're about to hear my conversation with Jamie Murray, but before we get to the interview, I wanted to share why I think this is one of the most important episodes that I've ever recorded. So Jamie Murray has won 7 Grand Slam titles in doubles. He's one of the best and most influential doubles players of the last few decades, and in Dallas, during the Dallas Open, I set up a 15-minute interview with Jamie. Now, when I set up an interview with a player like this, I always do a little bit of research beforehand. So I'll look at their Wikipedia page to see if there's any stats or stories that stand out. I'll look to see if they've been in the news recently in case there's something I've missed. I'll look at recent results as well, just to talk about the year and different goals they might have. And in this conversation, I could have gone a number of directions with Jamie. We could have talked about strategy. We could have talked about how he's a lefty and that creates different situations on the court. We could have talked about mixed doubles where he's won 5 Grand Slam titles. I also could have asked about his story, growing up with Andy, learning doubles from his mom, Judy, who's a fantastic doubles coach. But I didn't choose any of those topics. And I think if I had, the conversation would have lasted about 15 minutes. Because you can read about all of that in other places. You can find a story about Jamie and his life growing up online somewhere. He's probably interviewed about it multiple times. You can learn about double strategy, mixed strategy, playing doubles with a lefty on my website, on my YouTube channel. And there's a number of other coaches who can teach you about that as well. So I chose a different topic. Now, this is a doubles podcast. I love to teach doubles. I love tactics. I love strategy. I think it's so much fun to study and to analyze. I love to watch doubles and talk doubles. But if you've listened to the podcast for a while, then you know one of my missions, one of my goals is to help make pro doubles more popular. Now, this is the 223rd episode of the podcast. I've interviewed over 100 doubles players, doubles coaches, tennis media people, all sorts of different people in the industry, and I always ask them, how can we make pro doubles more popular? So I've had over 100 of these conversations, both on and off the podcast, and I really believe that pro doubles has untapped potential. I think there's a market for it. I think if it's delivered in the right way and marketed in the right way, it can be much bigger than it currently is. And I want to use this podcast and use Tennis Tribe to help drive that forward. So this is the topic that I chose to focus on with Jamie because he's so uniquely qualified to answer this question. How can we make pro doubles more popular? He's not only a doubles player with tons of success, he's also a tournament director. And the conversation ended up lasting nearly an hour. And I think these conversations are crucial to have to move doubles forward. You're basically about to hear a 1-hour brainstorming session between me and Jamie on how to change doubles for the better. And these types of conversations are great. I would actually also love to have someone on the podcast who disagrees with a lot of what we say, because I also think it's important not to have this kind of echo chamber where we're just sitting there kind of complaining back and forth about the support that doubles isn't getting, or just talking about the potential it has with other people who agree with us. I think it's important to talk with people who disagree so that we can come to solutions and compromises and move things forward. But in this conversation, this brainstorming session, You're going to hear Jamie's thoughts on different rule changes to doubles, how he thinks the scheduling can improve doubles. We talk about marketing and social media. We talk about what the tours and the tournaments can do, as well as the Grand Slams. We talk about what the players can and probably should do to help make doubles more popular. And we also talk about a lot of different roadblocks that are facing doubles and a lot more. So I hope that you listen to this conversation and maybe it kind of inspires you to create change or have more of these conversations to help doubles move forward. Recently, the US Open announced some changes to the mixed doubles. A lot of doubles specialists, doubles players were understandably upset. And I hope that if you are one of those doubles players or doubles coaches, that this drives you to kind of take a lot of this into your own hands, get more involved if you can, and do the best you can to kind of increase your own brand awareness and take a lot of this into your own hands, like I said. So I'm hoping to have more conversations like this going forward, again, with people who agree with Jamie, agree with me, and also people who disagree, because I think, like I said, it's important to come to solutions and compromises that work and that move our sport forward as a whole, both for singles and doubles, because what the tours have been doing and what has been happening to doubles over the last 5, 10, maybe more years really just isn't working. So we do need to have these conversations to create some of this change. So without further delay, enjoy this brainstorming session, enjoy this conversation, enjoy this interview with Jamie Murray. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Today we have Jamie Murray on. Jamie, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So we're here outside of the Dallas Open. Y'all finished your match earlier. And we could, an interview with you, I could sit here and talk about your 7 majors or doubles tactics, but I want to talk about the growth of the sport and the growth of doubles in particular, because I feel like you've got obviously a lot of experience with it and a really unique perspective, being a tournament director as well. And you've kind of looked at this from all different angles. And I actually had a question that I wanted to lead with. But earlier today, you said something to your coach when you introduced me to him, and that changed my leading question. So you told your coach, "This is Will, and he's fighting a lonely battle."
Yeah.
Why did you say that?
Yeah. Because you're out there you're out there trying to, I guess, promote doubles and kind of, I don't know, educate people about it and, promote some of the players and I guess just the game itself, which, is not, it's not like an easy thing to do that. And yeah, I would say the powers that be are not necessarily doing that or haven't been doing that through my time on the tour, which is quite a long time now. But, for me, there's a lot of little things that they could do to, I guess, just maybe make it, package it better than what it currently has been. Not necessarily stuff that costs money, but just stuff that when you're taking it to market, let's say, that it's actually, okay, this is the best product we can come up with, and here it is. Whereas right now it's not the best product that it can be for a multitude of reasons. And so it's kind of in a way, you feel like it's not a surprise that it's failing because it's not there showcased at its best, potential, if you like.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like it's more of a product issue or a marketing issue? Obviously, it could
both.
be both.
I think both. I mean, ultimately, there's, such a large percentage of, the population consume their sports through social media now. A lot of people watch highlights on Instagram, for example, YouTube, blah, blah, blah. But, we have zero presence online. So how do you kind of put it in, put it in people's, I don't know what the word is, in their
get their awareness.
Yeah, how
attention.
do you exactly attention and awareness? How do you bring that to people if like there's nothing online about it?
Mm-hmm.
So I think like that needs to change for sure. And but the product itself, like it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't lend itself to like for example, it's we played today an hour 45 minutes. And we're sitting there because there's like live TV changeovers. So the changeovers is like 90 seconds. And it's like, we don't need to be playing 90-second changeovers every time.
So they had live TV changeovers today on the quarterfinal match?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, this is stuff I'm still trying to learn. Like, I thought that was like a quarterfinal match at a 500 would be streamed for paid subscribers, but not like commercial breaks and stuff. But I don't know.
Well, she said live TV, so
okay.
I don't know necessarily where that.
Certainly not in the US.
Like at home, like people are watching it on Sky in the UK.
Okay.
Like they're watching that.
Okay.
So
maybe
yeah,
that.
so of course, like we have to sit there for the full 90 seconds, which is annoying for us because we're ready to play earlier.
Yeah.
But also there's a lot of dead time on the court, because, we're not always having like 10-stroke rallies and stuff just with how the game is currently played. So for me, like, I think the first thing they need to do is minimize the dead time, which they tried last year. They had shorter time between points, which didn't really work because all the sort of tension went out the match because you were just like constantly playing. So for the fans, I don't think that was great. For the players, it was pretty rubbish as well because you felt very rushed and you just had no communication with your partner, which, doubles is so much about that. And it wasn't really I wouldn't say like a fun environment to play, but they got rid of a lot of the changeovers, which I would say was a big positive. But this year they're focusing on, condensing the number of days at the tournament, certainly like for the Masters and stuff. And other tournaments are able to be a part of that if they want, which I think that is also a good thing, is a positive, because like for example, if we're at Indian Wells and the tournament starts on like Thursday and the finals on Saturday, Sunday, it's like a 12-day tournament, 12-day tournament for us. And to win the tournament, you've got to win 5 matches, so you've got like 7 days of like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's, for the players, it's rubbish. Whether that's like us as doubles players who are just like hanging around, and you don't know if you're going to play on Thursday, Friday or Saturday for the first round. But of course you could play Thursday. So you have to get there on Sunday or Monday to prepare and get over the time zones and all that stuff. So you're there for 2 weeks to play 5 matches essentially. So again, if you go all the way to the final, that's like 9 days of doing jack shit. Like that's rubbish. And obviously for the singles guys, they play as long as it's convenient for them. So, as long as it kind of works out with their singles. But as soon as it becomes an inconvenience, they'll pull the plug, which is not what we want, right? So again, like for example, these longer Masters series, like, if they lose early in the singles and it's like, well, now if I want to get to the doubles final, I got to hang around for like 10 days. Like, they don't want to do that, which is understandable. So I think the fact they're condensing it is a good thing. But and also like a 7-day tournament, like it doesn't work for the singles guys either, because the first round's played over 3 days. The quarterfinals is on Thursday. So for the singles guys, if they win their doubles match on Thursday, then they're definitely here till the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. But if they lose in the singles, they want to go to the next tournament to prepare because they might have to play on Monday or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want to be here playing doubles on Saturday and Sunday. So it doesn't, for me, that the schedule doesn't lend itself for these guys to kind of play the full 7 days.
So are you saying that the goal with this is to make it more appealing for singles players to play?
Well, it depends. Like,
Because
depends what your priority is. You know?
I'm just trying to understand.
And the tour could have a lot of different priorities.
Well, there's so many different perspectives, right?
Yeah.
Like all of those things you just said would make the player experience better.
Yeah.
In some ways, it might help the growth of doubles as well, but I'm not sure that that's like the lead domino for growing doubles, right? It may be more changing, getting rid of the dead time on changeovers, like you're talking about, to make the TV experience better, or social media marketing, like you're talking about.
Yeah, the dead time, for example, that will just, there'll just be better match flow, for example. If you're watching live, you don't really pick up on that so much because you're like invested in the match and you're kind of there and you're feeling the, kind of the energy on the court and the tension of the match. But when you're watching at home on TV, and I'm guilty of it as well, I'm just like, come on, hurry up. Like, let's get to the next point. Like almost like wanting to hit fast forward on the remote to get to the next point. So it's not I don't think it's a good TV experience, watching doubles.
Do you think commentators might help that though?
I mean, I think it would help if the commentators were more, if they were more clued up on the doubles.
Like I love watching Renee call a doubles match.
Yeah, but that was her game, right?
Yeah.
Like, and she knows it inside out.
Yeah.
And she knows the players.
Yeah.
Sometimes
they get played.
A lot of guys don't. They don't know the players, but then there's no reason for them to really know the players because they're not really commenting on doubles particularly much unless it's like a Grand Slam.
Yeah.
So, and it's not something that is, again, it's not in their face, like for them to consume like on a weekly basis or that.
So I want to step back for a second and look at this like at a really high level. So let's say the night session's about to start in like an hour or two.
Yeah.
Fans are going to start coming through the gates here. Let's say we walk up to the fans coming in the gates and ask each of them, who are you or what are you here for?
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to say to watch the singles? Or do you think they're going to say, I'm here to watch Taylor Fritz?
I think they're here to watch. They might say they're here to watch Taylor Fritz, or they're here to watch tennis.
Tennis.
Okay. I think a lot of people that come to like bigger events. Of course, there's a lot of like tennis fans, but then there's people that are coming to the event and they're just there to consume tennis. It doesn't necessarily matter to them if it's singles, doubles, whatever. I think like ultimately people want to watch the stars, and then they probably want to watch like local players, so they're countrymen and women, and then after that is kind of probably a bit of everything else, like who cares, kind of being part of the event. That's what I would think, because like not everyone that goes to Indian Wells is like a hardcore tennis fan or goes to Wimbledon. They go to Wimbledon because it's to say it's a scene, right? It's to say that you've been to Wimbledon. They're not necessarily loving tennis or whatever. Like US Open will be the same. Like US Open's in town. It's like, okay, I go to the US Open, but they're not necessarily going because they desperately love tennis. They go to be part of the event and say that they've been there.
So this is where I've like had a.
I think anyway. That's what I think.
So this is where I've kind of had a debate with a lot of people. So I think they are there, like you say, to see the stars, right?
Yeah.
And then the question is like, okay, well, what creates a star? Like, what makes Taylor Fritz a star? Is it singles, or is it marketing, or is it something else, or some combination of all this? And like my contention is that I think marketing plays a lot larger role in it than people give it credit for. And you mentioned social media earlier. I read your interview from last year with Tennis Majors like 30 minutes ago, and you talked about, you scrolled through like the Miami Open and less than 1% of the posts are about doubles. Last night I pulled up Dallas Open. It was the 97th Instagram post. I had to scroll through 97 posts to find a doubles one, and it was a week before the tournament, and it showed the doubles entry list. So there's been zero social media post about doubles this week. And I feel like that they're here to watch Taylor Fritz. And if he played in the doubles draw, like they would come watch the doubles. Ben Shelton had a great crowd yesterday.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, that's why, like, I guess when you go back to like making it more convenient for the singles players to play, like I would rather have the best singles guys playing the doubles tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, it just doesn't work for them to like play till the end of the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for the reasons that I was saying, and also the prize money gap or discrepancy, whatever, between singles and doubles is like massive, and it's only getting bigger and bigger. So, these guys' motivations to play doubles for a match for $10,000 or $15,000 or whatever is not the same as when they play the next day for singles for, 150,000, 200,000. So
sure.
I get it that, if the scheduling doesn't work for them, then, they might pull the plug, or, they lose in singles. Like, yeah, I'm not going to stay another 4 days to, potentially win the doubles. I'd rather go to next week's tournament and prepare there, because obviously the rewards are much greater.
But do you think there's a scenario? So like short term, I agree with you, right? Like, and then if we want to grow doubles as much as possible in the next 2 years, like we've got to get Alcaraz, Sinner, Taylor Fritz, whoever playing doubles. But if we want to grow doubles in the next 20 years, I don't know if that's the best solution, like to get the singles players on board. And obviously you can create a blend of that to create some maybe short-term doubles growth. But long-term, don't we need to market the doubles players and doubles teams better so that in 20 years, if Jamie Murray has a son who plays doubles and like he's a doubles star instead of a single star? I don't know.
Yeah, no, you have very valid points. Like the marketing is zero, so people's awareness, like online and stuff, of doubles is zero. I think like the game has grown a lot. Like people that are at tournaments, I feel it because they come and they talk to me and they're like, oh, why is not more doubles on TV, or we can't watch doubles, whatever. But since like Tennis TV took on, the Masters, and now it's like 500s as well, people can follow the game a lot easier, which is great. And you feel that over the years, like that it's grown. Like people are more aware of the players, of the doubles players for sure. Which is it's a positive. And the matches are well supported at these bigger events, the Masters. But again, our problem is like scheduling. So you go to Indian Wells and you play first round on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the crowds is like crazy, and all the courts are packed and whatever, and you need bigger outside stadium courts. But then on Monday, everyone goes home and the grounds are like really quiet for the rest of the week. So we're playing, quarterfinals, semifinals, on like 10,000 seater stadiums, and there's like 6 people watching. So if you're watching that on TV, like that's total shit. Why would I care about that if people aren't caring enough to go and watch that on site? Why would I care at home, right? Like that's totally normal. And it's, for us, like it's depressing to go out and play like that. Like it'd be better for us to play on court 6 on a small court, much more intimate. But the reason that they do that is because, the ATP media say that, well, we offer much better production on those bigger courts because, it's a much better setup, number of cameras and quality and all that stuff, which, they obviously want to uphold that. But for us as players, it's actually worse. It's actually worse. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess like the marketing stuff, like I can't control that, but I can certainly put my opinions forward in terms of like condensing draws and potentially front loading tournaments. Like Indian Wells is going to start the second Sunday this year, which, okay, like it's good that they've condensed it, but in my opinion, it's not going to work because we're going to play more of the tournament in front of like less people because the grounds will be empty. So that's not showcasing doubles. And you're less likely to get the top guys signing up, which Indian Wells is always famous for. Like, for me, the more doubles matches that the singles guys can play before competing in the singles, the better. So I would for sure trial at one tournament, like starting the doubles on the Monday of Indian Wells or the Monday of Miami and having the final like on Sunday, for example. So, you know, the singles guys, you know, they'd have to win like, because they all have buys. If they're in the doubles in these tournaments, they'll have buys in the singles because of their ranking. So, you know, they could play potentially like 2 or 3 doubles matches before they start kicking off with the singles. So by that stage, like...
But then they'll retire if they're in the third round of doubles, right?
No, I don't think they would, because let's say, you know, the tournament starts on Monday, you know, they could be in the semifinals by Friday.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, I only have to play 2 more matches to win this tournament. Yeah. And then I'm playing my singles the rest of the time. Whereas right now is like, if I lose my singles early, I got 7 or 8 days to get to the final here. Like, I can't really be bothered with that. I can't be bothered to have like 2 days rest waiting for a doubles match, you know, like, which even for us players, it's annoying. So I would try that. I would have like tournaments starting like the doubles on Sunday at like these events, for example, 7-day events, and get a bunch of matches out on Sunday, have the final on Friday, and see how that works. Because again, you get the guys playing singles earlier, because that's why they enter. Like, they enter to get practice before the singles. So for them, it's actually annoying when they can't play the doubles match till Wednesday, and they've had to play singles first and stuff. So
I see.
I would. I'm not saying that that's like guaranteed to be the answer, but I think you definitely have to trial that stuff.
Yeah. I know you got to run soon.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
You have a few more time for a few more. So you're the tournament director at Queens, which is gives you another kind of unique perspective.
Yeah.
Is there anything you've done there to try to bring a bit more doubles exposure at that tournament, or anything you can do? I guess maybe some of your hands are tied since.
But it's difficult. Like, last year, we did the tournament Wednesday to Sunday, which worked out well because we didn't have rain, but we were also lucky with the scheduling and how the sort of doubles draw played out, and that we didn't have to have singles guys playing singles and doubles on those days, because they were either like on the right side of the draw or they lost. And then this year, like, we have the opportunity to potentially do that again. But I feel like last year we maybe got lucky, and this year, like, we wouldn't get lucky if you're playing the odds. And then we have a situation where, like, I don't know, Sebi Corda's in the singles and doubles on Thursday, and TV wants to play him like the third match because he's playing Alcaraz. So he's got to play the third match singles, and then he's got to play doubles after at like 8:00 on court 1. And then you're increasing the chance of these guys pulling the plug and not playing, which, like, for me, that's what's most annoying. Like, I want to lessen the chances as much as possible of that stuff, happening, because it's like a draw wrecker, you know?
So how much of this, you're clearly big on like changing the scheduling. How much of this is up to TV versus the tour, or maybe the two are related? This is something I'm still like
in
trying
terms
to,
of what?
Changing the scheduling that you're talking
like
about.
Condensing the number of days of the tournament.
Exactly. So like doubles players don't need.
That's coming from the tour. They want to trial that this year.
Yeah.
They
tried in Madrid for the first time last year, I think.
Yeah. So they tried it on the. Yeah. So we started on the Tuesday and the final was on Sunday. So, I mean, another reason that they want to do that is because they want to take pressure off of the on-site facilities earlier in the week, when obviously everyone's around, everyone wants to practice. Like, it's just a lot of pressure on the on-site facilities. So if they kind of shift the doubles to later in the week, like, instead of us arriving like on the Wednesday before the tournament, you know, we'll arrive like a few days later. So there's more chance for everyone to prepare accordingly.
But your solution does the opposite. Like it moves doubles up to the front.
Yeah, it does.
So.
It does. But you're getting rid of guys earlier because let's say like you play Indian Wells on a Monday or you play here, you start the doubles on Sunday and you play 4 or 5 first round matches on Sunday. A lot of those doubles guys lose and they go home. They're not going to hang around for, 7 days here. Indian Wells would kind of be the same. Like people would, they're playing matches, they're losing, and then, I'm leaving.
So it would still alleviate some pressure early. It sounds like
maybe not as much. Like
not as much,
not
but
as
some.
much.
Yeah.
Not as much, but some. Bit. Yeah, you would have to take into consideration that people would leave once they finish the tournament, which half the draw is done Monday and Tuesday. Is they're gone,
Mm-hmm. So I was reading through that Tennis Majors interview earlier, and I was trying to get a sense of like just your feelings on this, and it seemed like you're both optimistic and kind of almost defeated and tired at the same time. Would that be accurate? Of just like fighting this fight for doubles?
I think so. I mean, yeah, I think so. The thing is like, like getting rid of changeovers, for example, like they could make that decision tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. And it immediately elevates. It just makes things better.
So if they did that, then the TV would just have to deal with it. Like they'd have to figure it out.
Yeah, but my question is like, how much doubles is on live TV anyway across the year?
That's what I'm saying.
To the point that
right now
that we're not cutting changeover time,
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, if I think TV's even said like they need the matches like maximum like an hour 15. So last year when they were doing those trials, like they were getting matches like down to that comfortably. There was obviously there was time cut between the points and stuff, which wasn't great.
Yeah.
And I spoke to Ross Hutchins the other day. I was like, no one complains now, right? That you've gone back to normal. He's like, no, because for the players, it's a better playing condition, like not to be rushed for time between the points. So yeah, like ultimately the shorter the matches, it's better for players, like singles players. It's better for scheduling because you've got a more fixed time that these matches are going to last. Like we played today an hour 43. Like we don't need to play an hour 43 for that same match. Like we could have done that in an hour 20, probably hour 25, maybe.
Well, if they stopped in an hour 20, y'all wouldn't have won.
Yeah, we wouldn't have won. Yeah, we wouldn't have won. But that's fine.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm joking.
Yeah, I know. So, it's better for scheduling at tournaments. It's better for the fans because, they're sitting there, they're seeing more action in a condensed time. Players, they know, they have a better idea like of when they're going to play. And also, like you said, like yesterday or the day that we played our first round match, we played at like 4:45. There was nothing on center court till 7:00. Like we could easily have gone and played our match on center court, which, realistically, they should have done that.
Mm-hmm.
But tournaments would have that opportunity more to like squeeze these extra matches in if the opportunity comes up, because they know it's only going to be like an hour 15.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas right now they can't take those chances because match could go like 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that. Do you feel like the tour or like just the powers that be, as you put it at the beginning, do you feel like they just don't care and basically neglect doubles, or do they have a negative outlook on it? And one example is like for the social media you're talking about. So like I went through the Dallas Open post and they hadn't posted about doubles during the tournament at all. And then I was sitting up in the media room and I start talking to this lady who's sitting there, and helps run the social media team. And I asked her like, why haven't y'all posted about doubles? And she said, oh, my boss actually said this morning, like, oh, I haven't given doubles enough love. Like, I need to post about doubles. So to me, that's not a, like, I don't know. It's more of a just neglect / like, there's no quota. Like, they could do, like, one out of every 25 posts needs to be about doubles or something like that.
I know, yeah. I mean, I have that issue with the tour, with ATP's social media or ATP media's social media and stuff. Like, there's no reason for them not to, just post more. Like I'm not asking them to post freaking 10 times a day. But, these guys, like their remit, because it'll all, be about, growing, I don't know, followers and engagements and all that stuff. They'll be getting told probably like pump Alcaraz, pump Sinner, pump Medvedev, like Taylor, like, so Kyrgios doing another through the leg shot. Like, that's what they'll be getting told to works. Do. Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But, like there's nothing to stop them, like, doing more posts about, doubles matches, just highlights of points and stuff.
It's
like,
something that just
we saved a crazy point today at 6-3 in the tiebreak, right? Like, and in the end, that's point one is the match, because the next point, the guy double faults, and then it's 6-5, we're back on serve. Like, they could easily they could be posting that.
Yeah.
Like, it's shown on tennis TV, so there's someone there that can cut that clip and put it up, but, that won't happen.
Yeah. So, one thing that came to mind as you're saying that, it's like it sounds like it's almost like big US companies have to meet these like quarterly goals, right? And they prioritize often these short-term profits, and companies can like start to decline and go under because these CEOs or whatever are prioritizing these like quarterly numbers and short-term profits. So it's like, if I need to make a lot of money this month, like I'm posting Alcaraz and Sinner all day, every day.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking about the growth of the tour over the next 20 plus years, and I know the majority of tennis players play doubles around the world, like, this seems like an opportunity that we should like invest a little bit into, like 5% or 2% or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's why the tour started next gen, right? Because the tennis had basically become like the big four for everyone, and that's what people were interested in. And I guess some point they realized, like, well, these guys aren't going to be around forever. Like, we need to start, pumping up these young guns and putting them in the public's eye and, promoting them. So when they do get to the top of the game, people are aware of them and we can make stars of them that way, which, in a way was kind of a no-brainer, but it needed to be done. And, a lot of guys have got their rewards from that. Like the tour did, obviously, and the players themselves, like, which is great, right? Like, that's, for me, I hope like all these guys have tons of success, because, they all deserve it. Like, they're all great at what they do. They're all making, we're all making the same sacrifices and commitments and, putting in the hard yards for our career, because ultimately, like, if you don't, then, you're not going to be on the tour very long, because it's so competitive these days.
So what happens when just a few more questions. Sorry, this is running long. What happens when you send this you said you had a list on the Tennis Majors interview. You had a list of things you'd like to see changed on doubles, and you send it to the ATP or whoever it is. What happens? Do you just not hear a response, or they say like...
No, I talked to them about it. I mean, quite a bit of the stuff they tried last year.
Yeah. It was really encouraging to see as a fan.
Yeah, I mean, it was stuff like that, like get rid of the dead time.
Yeah.
Matches are taking too long, like have a better flow to the match, like if there's less dead time. Like condensing the days of the tournaments and like what that potentially looks like. Is that Wednesday to Sunday, or is it like Sunday to Friday, for example? But like, for example, tournaments, they would probably be against front loading it. I don't know in order of priority, but one priority will be, well, what if we don't get a singles final and we don't have a doubles final because it was played on Friday? But even though like the chances of like not having a singles final is like, I don't know, 0.003% or something. That's a reason why it won't happen, because if it happens here at Dallas at my tournament, I'm fucked. I'm not going to take that risk, right? It's risk management. But again, for me, that'd be like, that's not a reason to not do this if it's better for the game of doubles and whatever.
We're always taking a risk.
Yeah.
I wanted to jump in quickly and talk about mixed doubles for a few minutes. I know you've had a lot of mixed doubles success at this majors over the years, and where do you feel like mixed doubles fits into this doubles growth conversation, and what's the potential of mixed doubles for the future?
I mean, I think they miss a trick with the mixed doubles, right? Because there's so few sports where men and women can compete at the same level, on the same court and stuff, which, in tennis they can, but they do nothing to sort of push that. Like, I think that's a big missed opportunity from the slams. I don't know about the tour. We obviously don't have mixed doubles on the tour, but I think that is a missed opportunity, especially because so many companies don't want to be involved in if it's only like a men's event, for example. It's like, no, we need to have a combined event. We need to have women at our event, so that happens to bring these companies into tennis. So it doesn't really make sense that they wouldn't kind of max out on that. But again, if you want to grow it, you want stars to be playing, right? But the prize money is terrible. If you win it, great, but the prize money's been the same for forever. I mean, I won Wimbledon in 2007. I think the prize money was £50,000, and I got to the final 10 years later. It's pretty much the same prize money. It's it's actually worth less, than when I won it then with inflation and everything.
Split between both partners.
Yeah. I mean, I was playing with Hingis for one of them, so she probably should have got more than 50%. But US Open, obviously they're doing their thing this year, which I don't know what they're going to do with prize money. If they're expecting, Fritz to play and Coco Gauff to play and Jess Pegula, and you've got to be incentivizing them more than $2,000 a match. It's crazy. So, I mean, hopefully they do. Otherwise, I think it'll be a bit of a failure. And then the Fast Four aspect is just for me, it's just Mickey Mouse. It's not a Grand Slam. That's, for me, that should come with an asterisk. Really. So I again, for them, it's can we get the stars playing more? I'm sure that's a goal for them, right? They want their top guys to be playing, the guys and girls, to be playing. And they feel like that's a way to do it. We can get them out for, 40-minute match ahead of the slams. But I guess they'd have to consider, and I guess that's why they're doing Fast Four as well. It's they do whatever they can to increase the chance of these guys playing. Because, I mean, ultimately, if you're looking to win the singles, are you going to grind for 4 or 5 days competing ahead of a 2-week stretch at a slam? I don't think you're going to do that, because it's just draining, being at the courts all day and stuff. Those guys tend to want to have a kind of quiet, kind of easy week where they can get time on the courts and prepare and sort of peace and stuff. But all of a sudden, you're now spending all your days at the courts before you've even played your first round match. I don't think that's so incentivizing. But if you make the thing shorter and shorter and shorter, it's just
yeah, it's not really sport; it's more exhibition at that point.
It feels like it. Yeah, so, it feels like it. Yeah. But I'm sure the US Open, for them, they can sell tickets, so that's more.
Probably can get a TV deal during qualifying week too.
There'll be, again, and it's a chance to get the stars out. It's what happens at Australian Open as well. They've got events going every night, just to get these guys playing more in front of the public. Mm-hmm. Again, it's an opportunity for them to make money. Hopefully promote the sport as well. But yeah, I'm interested to see what the prize money is going to be and who's going to enter. Because I think who will enter will depend on what the prize money is, I think.
Yeah, totally agree. Awesome. Jamie, I could talk about this for another 3 hours, but you've got to prepare for a semifinal match soon. I really appreciate it.
Honestly, fine. I'd rather do as much now than maybe there's not another chance or whatever. So I'm happy. If you want 10 more minutes or something, it's
okay. All right, let's keep going. So with the mix, I'm always curious, or I've become more curious lately about the TV deals. I'm assuming so last year, the US Open, they had some exhibition stuff with I don't know, Roddick was playing with Novak and some other people on the court during qualifying week on Ash. and they aired it on ESPN. So they get some kind of TV money through that. And this mixed, maybe they got some kind of TV deal for the mixed going to qualifying week 0. And I think short term, it's going to generate more revenue for the US Open probably. And this is a very loosely held opinion because I don't have all the information, but I'm kind of guessing. But long term, I think it does a disservice to mixed because, like you said, it's going to be exhibition. The effort level is not going to be there, and we're maybe the only sport in the world where we can get a guy and a girl on the same field competing at 100%. And like with sport, that's what people want to see most is like the top athletes in the world competing as hard as they can.
Yeah.
And we can do that with mixed, and this is not that.
Yeah, I mean, but again, for me, it comes down to prize money, right? If it's going to be $1 million for the team to win, like, there'll be guys out there. Saying guys, when I say guys, I mean general, but they'll be trying their ass off for $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it comes down to prize money more than what the actual format is, even though, if it is like best of 3, fast 4, for me, that's ludicrous. But for me, the effort levels and stuff, the intensity of the competition will come down to the prize money. Because obviously, like you said, if the prize money is rubbish, I don't see how these top players are going to compete. And if they do, like you say, the intensity is not going to be there because they're playing for like $5,000. It's like,
so I guess like with that, there's 2 ways to approach like increasing the prize money. One is get investors to increase it immediately, right?
Yeah.
Like get people who have a lot of money or US Open invest in it or something.
Well, I'm sure US Open have the funds to
or
like
create a 10-year plan and say like, this is how we're going to grow mixed doubles. And this is how we're going to grow men's and women's doubles. And our goal in 10 years is to have the prize money. Right now, men's and women's doubles is like 25% for the team of singles, something like that.
I'm not sure.
I think it's around 25%. So our goal over the next 10 years or 15 years, I'm just throwing numbers out there, is to get it to 50%, or 60%, or whatever it is. And like, here's our plan to do that. And it's 2 different approaches, but like, I don't know, this status quo stuff of like not investing in it, but not wanting to, keeping it around. I don't know. It's just weird to me.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of a bit like the tour when it comes to doubles is like, the tournaments want to have it, generally speaking, they want to have it. The tour obviously wants to have it, but they don't quite know like what to do with it. And so over time, like nothing's really got done. And then the game in a way is sort of like slowly, I don't want to say dying, but like kind of, it's definitely not going forward, put it that way.
The doubles game specifically.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But I mean, with the thing is now, like all these masters are like 10-day events, 12-day events, combined events. Like, they could have mixed doubles at a lot of these tournaments now.
Yeah, they tried at Indian Wells last year.
Yeah, but again, it was just badly done. Like they literally.
It was last minute. It seemed like.
No, literally last minute. Yeah, you got like a broadcast message going around saying Indian Wells are going to have a mixed doubles event. I don't know if it was an 8 draw or 16 draw, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it was like, you need to enter the next day and then it starts on the following day. It's like, but loads of people have left already. Like, for me, I'm like, you must have known you were going to do that. Like, why are you waiting so late to kind of like put this event together? So like, kudos to them for doing it, but it was just badly kind of planned, I guess. Again, like it's more content for these tournaments, which is what a lot of them want, right? Like they want more content at the end of the week to get more people still coming, buying ground tickets, spending money on site, and which obviously is hard to do when, it's like semi-finals day and there's like 2 singles and maybe a doubles and there's nothing going on in the outside courts, for example.
Yeah. I guess the thing I keep getting caught up on is the idea that like doubles cannot create stars. I think that's something that a lot of people I think have in their mind.
Yeah.
And I like yesterday I went to the Shelton match, his doubles match. He's playing with Zeballos.
Yeah.
Everybody's there to watch Shelton. And I was sitting there listening. I would love to like have some kind of way to measure the audio on this, but the loudest cheers were for Zeballos, hands down. Like it wasn't close because he's got these double skills that all these people are not used to seeing.
Yeah.
He's got these like touch angles and like the lobs and the poach and the quick hands. And Shelton's like hit a few winners from the baseline and they cheer for that. But their mind was blown by what Zeballos could do on the court.
Yeah.
And that just to me right there is evidence that like the product is great. If we showed some of those highlights, like all those shots Zeballos hit, nobody's ever going to see him again. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think like some people like doubles because it's faster than singles.
Mm-hmm.
And they like the fact that like, you know, the reaction stuff and, you know, if you watch singles, you know, the commentators and stuff, people, you know, they talk about, oh, these guys hit the ball so hard these days and so much spin and it's crazy. And it's like, yeah, it's freaking impressive what they do. But think about me who's standing at the net returning these shots and not, you know, Medvedev who's standing 20 feet behind the baseline returning Rafa's forehand, for example, right? Like it's completely different skill set.
Yeah.
And a totally different ability as well to do that. And, you know, like some people respect that, but the tour could tell a much better story about that stuff. For sure. Or like TV could tell a much better story about that. Like, you know, our stats, like that come up on the graphics and stuff when you're watching doubles, like, you know, or, you know, like it's a joke. Like you watch like a 3-set match and then the stats will come up and it'll be like net points won 0 for 0 for all teams. It's like what are you, why is that even going on the TV? Like one, it's obviously completely untrue. Yeah. And two, it's a nonsense stat. Like there must be something else.
What does net points won mean?
Yeah. like it's just like that stuff. The statting aspect of it is terrible.
Yeah.
That's really frustrating because that also helps like tell a story. And the fact that like the stats aren't individualized also. So like, you know, like today, let's say, you know, I'm playing with John Piers and, you know, maybe like I was returning terrible, but he was returning good. So there's no way for like the fans to really know that when they're looking at the stats because it just says like
team
they've
average.
won 30% of return points. It's like, well, actually he did a great job because he won like 75% of those points, you know, and I only won 25 because maybe I returned bad or the guys were serving better to me or whatever, but they don't tell the story at all. But again, that's just care and attention. Doesn't cost the extra money. It's just care and attention.
Well, I think it has part of that is getting the right people to tell the stories, right? Like a lot of times when it is broadcast on TV, they're getting people who, I don't know, like have never seen some of the doubles players play or like don't watch doubles specifically. So they're, you know, butchering the names or like have no clue in terms of like strategy, what's going on. But I think the word stories is big. Like I totally agree with you. Like telling the stories is how marketing is done and like how things.
No, of course, like they could be telling the story that, you know, Ben Shelton has, you know, obviously making up numbers. He's got like 2.7 seconds to react to, you know, Casper Ruud's forehand.
Yeah.
But here on this doubles court, Jamie Murray's got like 0.7 seconds to react to Casper Ruud's forehand because he's standing half the distance.
Yeah.
You know, like that stuff, which, you know, that would be impressive to people. I would think, you know. But again, they don't tell that story. But it is amazing to me, like how often, like, you know, people will come to me and they'll be like disappointed that they can't watch more doubles and why does it not get the recognition it deserves, blah, blah, blah. Like it's pretty common that will happen to me at some point, sort of like week to week on the tour. And I think the tour I would say definitely underestimates the people that follow doubles, that are into doubles, that group of people, like how potentially big that is. I'm not saying it's huge on the same number of singles, but it's definitely bigger than what they think it is.
Yeah. And the potential as well. And I think this is something, I'm glad you said that, because this is something a lot of people like misconstrue my words when I'm like making these arguments. And I think like I'm trying to say doubles or singles or doubles versus singles. And I'm not doing that. Like, I think, I don't know, like maybe there's an alternate universe where doubles is bigger than singles, but like I'd be happy with 30% in the next like 10 years or something. I don't know what it is right now, like 2% maybe.
I just think they could do
it can be both.
Yeah, the tour can do
and they
more
can feed
to
off of each other.
Yeah, just to enhance doubles and bring more value to the tour for sure. Like that can definitely happen. Hopefully it does. Again, like I remain kind of optimistic about it, but it takes someone kind of needs to like grab the bull by the horn and say, okay, like we're doing this. Which last year, they had their trials and stuff, like like they did the mic stuff in Washington. But like I said, and Mark I in the tournament, he was so pumped about it, and I was pumped for it too. But I said, look, like they're also doing a trial where there's like no time between points, so people aren't talking as much as they used to. They don't have time to like discuss strategy or pump up their partner, whatever. You're basically like finishing the point and just setting the next play, like that's it. So they're missing a trick there. But I hope that they do that more, because again, that's something would be unique to doubles, and people watching at home can hear what these guys are discussing, what plays they're setting, I don't know, the stress of the match, how the guys communicate and stuff like that. That's all interesting. And it's like it's a USP compared to singles. So I hope that they do more of that, and I hope that the players buy into it, because I think that's something that could really help them.
Well, a few of Harry's videos went like semi-viral, at least for doubles, from DC, where he was mic'd up.
Yeah.
I felt like
I watched the first match, and it was really good.
He's a good person to mic up to, because he's so entertaining and like,
he's a different cat. Harry,
he's
a
funny.
Cat, yeah.
But yeah, that's like, it is. I don't remember who I was talking with Ben Rothenberg about this. This was like over a year ago at this point, and he said he used the analogy of a petri dish, like using doubles as a petri dish, like an experimentation ground. I'm a big fan personally of allowing fans just to move around.
Yeah.
Like if everybody's moving, you won't notice as much. If nobody's moving and somebody drops their water bottle, like it's going to mess up your service motion. And like, I know some players might disagree, but I'm like, this is an entertainment sport. You got to get over that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And they can experiment with miking them up, like you said.
Yeah.
They interviewed Calvin Betton during the Australian Open final between the either first and second or second and third set.
Yeah.
It's like interviewing coaches. Just getting more of that access, I think, is a great idea, because what I've found, at least like growing my podcast and my audience, is this blend of strategy and pro tour. Like there's something there. Okay. Like a lot of club players will start to watch the pro tour for strategy if they know what to look for. But they don't know what to look for. So there's a lot there, but I feel like using it as an experiment, like experimenting ground, can be something. So like what are the barriers to like implementing some of this stuff? They experimented last year a bit. I don't know how much of it even rolled over to this year.
No, they basically got rid of everything.
Okay.
And apparently it's just like this year it's just about tournament schedule, like condensing the number of days and what days the doubles events are gonna run from.
So that's the only thing they kept, basically.
I think like this year they made the decision like this is what we're gonna focus on, and leave everything else as is. So let's see. I mean, I keep pushing for the changeovers, because I just think like people's in a world where people's attention spans getting less and less, like why are we trying to do whatever we can to increase the amount of time on court and stuff? And
well, you see it on the court, like y'all are in the changeover, and then y'all are up ready to serve, and the ball kids are still standing in the service spots.
Stupid, yeah. Tour finals, like, is a disaster for that as well. Like, you players are standing there in the dark, like at the baseline. Like, it's like, guys, like, come on, let's get this going. You know, like, let's, just make it a bit more dynamic and, I don't know, a bit more, just punchy. Like, but you know, that's easy stuff for me. Like, that stuff is like a no-brainer. They should just be doing that.
Have you heard an argument for like why they don't do this stuff? Is it just TV?
Yeah, I assume it's probably TV advertising and stuff like. But again,
they say they're not making money on doubles. So like, what TV advertising? Like, I don't know. I'm looking for answers, Jamie. That's all. I'm looking for answers.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Maybe we can do this again down the road at some point. But this was a ton of fun. I appreciate you taking the extra time.
No sweat.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Doubles Only podcast. If you're interested in diving deeper into any topics I discuss, I've created doubles strategy products that allow me to bring you more podcasts and other doubles content without relying on paid ads. I have ebooks and courses that help you make better strategic decisions during matches and become the smartest player on the court. Go to thetennistribe.com/products to learn more. You can also join my free weekly double strategy newsletter that includes video lessons and more on our homepage. If you want to connect, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or email me directly, will@thetennistribe.com.